We're going to be jumping into draft for our 5th game of the day. Reminder that there are no stakes on the line. Neither team can qualify for the Rumble stage, which, you know, it does hurt to see DFM fall short. But, of course, they have gone through some roster changes, so here's hoping they can continue to grow. Along with Team AZE, they've had a tough tournament, and I'm sure that they want to try and end on a high note. But let's see what approach they take. Often, when there are no stakes on the line, teams will have a little bit more fun. Does mean that we may get to see a couple of unique picks that we don't often get to see. So far, the bans are pretty standard. The Trundle is a little surprising. It does make me wonder if DFM have something on the docket ready and waiting. But I'm not quite sure. When I think of Trundle, I think of, like, what are the primary counters? Viego is a champion.
And then tanks in the top lane, really,
Tanks,
is what you're
yes,
thinking, right?
To a degree, yeah. But what could they be thinking right now? Well, for the time being, it will be the Twisted Fate insta-lock-in, so nothing too crazy. The response of Galio would also make a lot of sense. We've already seen that once from Alone at this tournament. But it seems so far, the approach to this draft is going to be very meta-focused, which does mean that if they do choose to lock in the Galio now, they could look to grab themselves an AD carry if they wanted to. With Lucian taken off the board, we've seen from 5kid quite a few strong AD carries in the form of Samira and MF. Things that they can look to prioritize and bind if they want, but instead they're going to go for the tried and true Graves, which has been a very solid staple jungle so far at this tournament.
Definitely has. I will say as well, I looked over some of Dimitri's stats earlier. 5-0 on the Trundle this year. Played it once during their playoffs, 4 times in the regular season, so perhaps just a respect ban towards him.
Makes sense.
So that they don't want to deal with that. As you say, Galio used to answer the Twisted Fate. Ebby, you're going to bring out your Urgot. It is a masterclass whenever we see Ebby on Urgot. And
it's one of his comfort picks for sure.
Yep.
We have already gone to see it once this tournament, but just a bit cheeky hover for now. As the Wukong likely to be locked in. We've been seeing it a lot so far this tournament. Still already 2 games on it. And yeah, it looks like we're going to have try and true. And that makes sense. A lot of these teams really value this international experience. I don't blame them for wanting to take it as seriously as possible. Make use of every game so that you can try and learn as much as you can. Part of me still expects some unique picks, but we'll have to wait and see, as it will be the Urgot locked in for Evie. Pretty strong top side of the map, and you expect DFM to once again look to try and play around it.
yeah, playing around Ebby makes a lot of sense, and with Steel on the Wukong, you can put a lot of pressure up towards that top side. Then you have the Destiny coming out as well. It looks like AZE are just going to pick a tank of their own towards that top side. Does mean they're a little bit lacking on magic damage if they went for the Mundo. Instead, the Gwen rounds out that top side of the map a little bit stronger. Galio, of course, does have magic damage himself, but it's not as consistent. Graves is only physical damage, well, apart from Smokescreen, and we've only seen Smokescreen Graves in like ARAM games. So the Gwen does give you a bit more DPS towards that top side. Also means you can skip and slash away from the Urgot engage. And you have a few options up there.
Alright, so a Renata ban. Often that does suggest that you're looking at something like a Nautilus, something more towards that melee style of champ. Perhaps they want to go for something hyper-aggressive, something like a Pike. But we have also seen a fair amount of Renata from Harp, so it could just be targeted. We'll have to wait and see what direction they choose to go for. More engaged supports are looking to be removed. DFM have to be careful here with removing supports, mainly because remember that the more supports you ban, the easier that this becomes for ACE, because you're now narrowing the pool and then they get first pick. So if you potentially ban out, well, I don't know, you ban out Leona, you ban out what, maybe even Alistair, then Rakan becomes a very viable option as a blind. So they have to be cautious about what they choose to remove here.
Do always have the option of moving towards more Enchanter supports as well. If you get rid of all of those engaged supports, you already have the Wukong for the engage, the Twisted Fate for the Destiny. Follow-up engage from your support is very valued in the current meta, but Enchanters still sit in a relatively strong spot in terms of support pool.
I think ACE is thinking about Israel right now. I wonder if DFM will read that, because they could ban away the Karma. They could also choose to ban away the Ez.
Karma's already banned, so.
Oh yeah, that's a fair point. Missed that one. Alistair, but we did talk about that earlier. That to me suggests, well, right now I'm looking like Rakan could be pretty good here.
I always think Rakan's good. So.
Yeah, doesn't matter what the matchup is.
First pick, Rakan's good here.
Rakan's good here, yeah. I mean, it's fair argument, Rakan is good here.
One thing it does give up is your laning phase to a degree. Nautilus has a slightly stronger laning phase than the Rakan and works well into the Rakan, so straight will go to the Nautilus. Much less. Well, you don't actually know that. He's got a helmet on.
True.
Underneath that helmet, Nautilus could be Ryan Reynolds.
Could be. Very handsome man. Very handsome man. But it won't be Medic, because Medic would only ever cosplay Rakan.
That is true.
That's true. Right.
That's not a promise either.
Yeah, Drakers has already done it once, and that was really like burned into my brain, you know? So we are going to see the center Tom Kench bot side for DFM, so this is a very top side focused draft. Nothing too crazy. Scaling on the side of DFM with regards to their bot lane. The Tom Kench is likely going to be receiving all of the farm, with the Senna just kind of farming, acting as that, why have I now forgotten the name? Can you remember? Fasting Senna, that's the name that I was looking for.
And the good thing for Senna is, as soon as you know you're playing into a melee support, it's a lot easier for you to get missed in the early game. Stack up those mist, or those absolution stacks, as it's technically called, and it makes it harder for the Ezreal Nautilus to really do too much in this lane. Means that Udapon will scale quicker and will be able to have more of an impact as the game goes on. But as you say, Betty, I think topside focus for both these teams early on. Graves probably just trying to farm up and react to anything that Steel's doing, because Steel's already shown us on the Wukong, if he gets ahead in the early game, he becomes a menace as the match goes on.
Yeah, I do feel that DFM have a little more agency than AZE.
Yeah.
If it was Zhao who's Galio, then I'd be like, my statement probably wouldn't be as true.
Sure.
But I think Zhao who's Galio is a little unique in terms of how well he can impact the rest of the map and where he finds these windows to successfully roam. Alone, there's going to be a lot of responsibility on him to keep track of Yaharong, mitigate his impact on the map, make sure that he can follow that level 6 timer is going to be very, very important, as both teams will likely look to try and set up the play. In terms of scaling, I will give a slight advantage to DFM simply because of the center bot lane, but when you think about range, Ezreal, Gwen, still very reliable late game threats, a lot of good damage, and the Graves as well is only going to get stronger as the game progresses. So could be in for some interesting team fights as the game goes on. I'm hoping for a chaotic game, I'm hoping for a bloody one, and I'm hoping that we can see something from AZE to end their tournament on a high note, along with DFM.
I think that early game against T1 was a ray of light amongst what has been a relatively dark tournament for them here at MSI. Able to find some kills early on towards the top side, and here looks like they're aiming top again. Early doors, 5 members of AZE in this top quadrant of the map. Only Ebby here. We'll see if he does spot out the fact this invade may be occurring.
I heard a horse and I was so confused.
Senna skin.
It was the Senna skin, yeah. Ash had the same thing, I think. So confusing though. Anyway, Ebby will spot out the Galio.
Good positioning as well by Ebby though.
Order be dropped on the blue buff. We'll give a little bit of information to AZE as to where Steel will start. But I imagine he's going to start on the bot side of the map. Likely pathing up towards top. Try and leverage the early prio that I imagine an Urgot will get against Gwen. I'll be honest, not super familiar with this top lane matchup. My expectation would be that an Urgot gets push against a Gwen, mainly because, you know, shotgun legs, passive.
Yeah.
He's also range champion. So.
Very true.
But I've seen Gwen do things at level 1 that I feel top laners aren't supposed to do. You know, so we'll have to wait and see. A delayed invade now coming into the bot side of the map. Ooh, I like this from AZE. Steel immediately going to disengage. He knows that he doesn't have a bot lane with him. So what's the response here from DFM?
I don't really think you can take the initial fight, right? Nautilus, Ezreal, Galio early on can, you know, poke you out and engage if they want to. Graves is relatively strong in any early invade, so Steel will instead say, yeah, we don't want to fight around our red buff. We will go towards this top side of the map, and we'll see actually if Steel decides to jump over the Rift-held pit with that W. Straight going in here, taking a little bit of a trade as Udapon puts the damage back down.
You can see the pings coming down now. Dimitri will spot out Steel and say, hey, I need to go straight back to my red buff now so that one doesn't get stolen away. You've got to remember that these very early levels, Wukong not the strongest. And I like the fact that AZE took advantage of that. Level 2 comes through.
Flash hook onto Harp. Harp still has the flash to get away and will escape. Survives to fight another day. 5 Kid now a little bit pushed forward. Final mystic shot. Oh, didn't quite have it off cooldown. Udapon has the flash as well. All summoners burnt for the DFM bot lane.
AZE playing very well in this early game. I like the invade, leveraging their stronger level 1, combined with the fact that they get the level 2 in the bot lane 2 versus 2 and immediately go for an all-in. Really good stuff overall. Hasn't resulted in any significant gold lead, but I like the aggression. I like what we're seeing. Pings coming through. They get information on where Alone is. I like the interrupted back. Alone was in the shop there for sure. This will give Yaharong an opportunity to push out the wave. That could have been a window where Alone actually could go back to base, not burn the TP. But now that it's been interrupted, he's going to be forced to catch this wave, it looks like. So good interrupt there from Steel, but for the time being, things looking pretty good for AZE.
Yeah, once again, a strong start by them. Their bot lane winning out on the 2v2 puts them in a strong position. Also means that if Straight can find another hook, it's very hard for Harp and Udapon to actually get out of that situation. Straight not running Hex Flash, though. Often we do see that with the Glacial Augment. Instead, here, it's not going to have that extra utility to dive in. He went for the Stopwatch and the Minion Dematerializer to make sure they have control over the lane.
Across the map right now, we can see a bit of vision invested towards the bot side with 2 wards thrown onto the entrances of the jungle, along with the Scuttle Crab being secured. The top crab is actually still up. Steel looks like he's pathing towards that now. Very far behind in CS. His whole bot side was taken away from him. Dimitri just continuing to steal away these camps, build up early leads, and something that we've been seeing a lot this tournament from Graves in particular. When you have pushing lanes, when you have stronger level 1s, it's really important that you try and leverage that, because Graves not typically known for being a really good early game ganking jungler, but he is very good at dueling other junglers and getting in their face and basically being annoying, especially with his ability to steal your camps. So how do you stop the enemy jungler from ganking? You just don't let them jungle. We saw it from Inspired yesterday, and we're seeing it once again from Dimitri right now. He has push in mid, he has push in bot, he has his eyes on potentially another camp, maybe even a gank.
No crux there for him. Used the oracles to see if they were available. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, this wave slowly pushing out towards Alone, but he will use the Winds of War to clear out a couple of those minions and now go down towards the bottom side. Not yet, level 6 does have the Predator. Perhaps we'll see the first gank of the game. Dimitri dives across the wall. No summoners, remember, on the DFM bot lane. Curse of the Black Mist could be big here. Big minion wave pushing in as well. It looks like AZE will just get the shove in. Look for the plate, can't even quite find that yet.
So, yeah, I will say that that roam is very predictable. Also the fact that he literally just walked past the minions and said, I'm on bot now. And we're like, all right, fair enough, off you go. Yaharong did still have the TP, so could have answered. But you can see that AZE really wanted to try and punish that stacked wave. They weren't able to, which means that DFM at the very least still get the XP. Udapon not too upset that he's only at 2 CS. And Harp, yeah, okay, he may have lost a bit of farm, but it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. All they care about is getting Udapon as many stacks as possible and getting through what is expected to be a relatively challenging bot lane 2 versus 2. So far, 6 minutes in, no blood has been drawn. Both teams taking a cool, calm, collected approach. And we can see while a small gold advantage is being built up in the bot lane for AZE, as you would expect, Yaharong countering that on the TF to build a small lead himself. Now a bit of an engage.
This avoid just wide there as 5kid is able to dodge away from it as the lane settles back into normalcy. I think we perhaps have a moment just to explain exactly what's going on in this bottom lane. There are some people around the world, actually we might not, because Dimitri might be looking for a gank on the top side.
Galio level 6.
Already moving up, Destiny available for Yaharong as well. Dimitri trying to cut off Ebby's route out of the fight. Ebby onto the tower though, pushes forward. Ebby not yet level 6 himself, still only 5. Dimitri needs one more auto. Good dive from AZE.
Well executed. They leveraged the level advantage, but now Steel trying to make a cross map. Only level 5. Twisted Fate has the ultimate, could look to roam, pushed in mid-wave, now he's on his way.
A couple of pings came out there, wondering if Steel was waiting in the bush. Destiny used as well. Straight is low, he'll be forced down here. No escape for him, but the trade might come back out as 5kid looks for the damage. Yaharong though healed up with a piercing dark, and it is a 1-for-1 across the map.
So overall, very even trade. Yaharong gonna grab himself a bit of gold from the plate as well. But a good cross map from DFM. The dive on top lane was very clean from AZE overall. They knew that Evie didn't have his ultimate available to him. And just the tower management was also very well executed. But the problem is, of course, that 5kid and Straight then have to disengage. They didn't want... I mean, they did disengage. I guess you could argue they didn't disengage early enough because you can recognize at this point you just need to leave. They pop the heal, and it is a 2v2, but the Twisted Fate separates them. 5kid uses his E to try and create space. And the damage is good onto Yaharong. It's not quite enough, which means that DFM find themselves an easy kill on the other side of the map.
Yeah, and I think importantly, AZE didn't have vision in that bush. Like they could assume that Steel was there, and you can prophylactically, preemptively back away from the tower, being like, well, the jungler might be sitting in this bush, but there's always that temptation to stay around for another wave, try and get the farm, especially when you don't know exactly where the enemy jungler is. So they did back away, they paid the respect, perhaps paid their respects a little bit too late. for the moment, though. Both teams relatively even. DFM with about 400, 500 gold lead. And Betty, last time I tried this, we got interrupted with action. Anything gonna happen next 30 seconds to a minute?
No.
Okay, I believe you. I trust you. If something happens, we're calling you out.
Gotta get to the point, quick.
It's true.
Let's
anyway,
go.
So, Senna Tom Kench bot lane. A lot of people perhaps won't have seen Fasting Senna in the meta that was around a couple of years ago, even last year. What it does is, Senna's passive drops missed fragments when you don't last hit a minion. And so what you want to do as Senna in this situation is grab those missed fragments while your support farms up the wave. That is why here, Udapon isn't farming at all as the fight begins in the mid lane. Steeled and Alone look for some damage. Dawning Shadow coming out and Alone is down. Dimitri jumps across the wall, but can you escape? Flash available. We'll use it, but the Nimbus strike into the crushing blow will crush his skull in. Dimitri goes down, Steel on 2 kills.
And one of the great things about Senna in particular is while you are the AD carry, you can provide that global presence. You saw the impact of that ultimate right there. Tarp goes underneath the tower.
Yeah, that's really deep. You have the thick skin. Will be able to get himself out. And often, yeah,
right now,
Senna teamed up with a support that becomes increasingly tanky. So things like the Scion, the Tahm Kench, sometimes the Wukong.
A very good 2v2 in the mid lane. I say 2v2, that Senna ultimate really did shift a lot, giving a lot of shielding to the side of DFM, and also doing damage. He was able to connect with Alone there, really just tearing him apart alongside the Wukong, being level 6. Very difficult to deal with. Good route, but no follow-up. 5kid is able to disengage. The Dragon has been started off. DFM can't really contest because their jungle is on the top side of the map. AZE know that the Herald has been taken, which means that there is a window for them to secure this early objective. 10 minutes in, though, DFM find themselves with a 2k gold lead.
DFM in a really strong position. Gold sitting once again on Steel's shoulders. We saw this in their last game versus Saigon Buffalo. Steel, when he is ahead on this Wukong, is a menace and a terror to his opposition. And so far, we haven't really seen Alone be able to get out and around on the map with this Galio ultimate. Something we wondered. Could he impact these side lanes? I don't think we've seen a single Galio ultimate as of yet.
Yeah. Just a little cool thing there. I'm pretty sure what I saw Udapon just do is drop a ward and then use his Q on the ward to heal to then get the stack. Completely unnecessary use of his ward.
Well, no, but the thing is, if you're about to back, you use your trinket, you Q, and then you switch to the oracles on the back anyway, and that's going to be back up by the time you come out. It's a Senna mechanic. There aren't many of them. Usually it's just right-click the opponent, press Q every now and again.
Yeah, but you can also Q towers, right?
You can Q towers.
Yeah. Oh, I heard that.
So did I. First mythic of the game, Steel with the Divine Sundra.
Right, sorry. Normally we don't hear that.
Wait, have you? I've been hearing that.
Really?
I think you just drone it out.
No. Normally in a cast, I don't hear the jingle. Yeah, no, normally I only ever hear it when I'm a viewer, but not. I'm hearing it again!
Abyssal Voyage here for the chase onto 5kid, but the hook comes out. And Harp might realize he's a little bit too alone here. Dawning Shadow coming out, another shield onto Harp. The damage from 5kid is not enough. Piercing Dark with the shield, and now Straight is in for a world of hurt. The Cyclone short, but Udapon. Flash, Curse of the Black Mists into the auto attack is enough. Udapon now sitting at 43 stacks. Already has the second part of his passive activated. He's in a very strong position.
They can dive that bot lane right now. They're only cautious of Alone being able to respond with the ultimate. The ultimate does come through from 5kid. Yeah, this Graves doesn't really have any options to do anything here. But Hart, insanely tanky on the Tahm Kench. He's able to buy so much time. You then get the ultimate come through from Udapon. He then flashes in. Well, actually, it wasn't he that flashed, but he was able to get in range to Q to actually provide that heal as well. And Hart here is saying, hey, you know what? I think I can go for an all-in here. I actually hit level 7 first. And then predicts the E. The heal then comes through to help with the movement speed to sidestep. Hart then, you can see how tanky he is. Gets the ultimate shield, then he gets a bit of a heal off as well from his Q, and then he gets another heal from Udapon, and then the route into Flash auto is enough from Udapon to be able to secure that kill. So very well played from DFM to shut down a play from AZE, and now they find themselves with 3k gold lead, and is what we've often seen from AZE so far in this tournament. A few promising things, but the early game very quickly slipping away from them.
Just a few oversteps here and there with that tower going down as well in a minute left. You can see Udapon and Harp pushed up towards this top side of the map. They know there's no dragon for 2 minutes. And they actually still have the Rift Herald, so I wonder if Steel is just making a beeline for the top lane. We'll try and put this Herald down to funnel some more gold into Harp and Utapon. Senna with the Umbral Glaive first, a little bit more supportive, but as the game goes on, as she gets more stacks, she gets more range, more critical damage, more critical strike, and just more damage overall. It was very difficult to deal with a fed Senna later in the game. Rift Herald will go down, TP comes in, Ace don't want the tower to fall, but they do have to sacrifice the plates. All that gold goes over to Steel, because neither Harp nor Utapon were either in range or had attacked the tower. But Steel will be very happy with that in his back pocket. There's the Cyclone flash away from Straight. Couldn't get rooted up with the Curse of the Black Mist. And now Kid and Straight flashless. Do have the ultimate. That depth charge a possibility, but it looks like DFM are just looking for one more plate before they fall off. Maybe not. Straight's going to get the hook. True Shot Rush going in as well. The thick skin just in time. Straight ticks down to Steel. Dimitri off towards the side will take out Harp as well. Both the junglers on the board in this fight. Chase continues. Dimitri dashes in. But Utapon once again with the ward into Q combo extends the range of that piercing dark. And it also has a slow on it these days, making it very hard to avoid.
I was kind of expecting both mid laners to look for a roam. I'm surprised we haven't seen more involvement from the two mid laners, especially when you take into consideration the main purpose and role of these champs. But yeah, at the end of the day, it ends up being, I believe it was a 1-for-1. Both supports ended up losing their lives. DFM are able to secure themselves a couple more plates. But you kind of look at the minimap right now, and you can see that DFM, they do have equal numbers up towards the top side of the map. A good hook from Straight ultimately allows them to get that kill into Harp in exchange for their support's life. You can see the Galio trying to roam up to set up for a play. The TP gets committed from Lonely, but they're not able to follow up, which means that DFM walk away pretty happy off the back of that.
Ace looking for something smaller. On the return to the Rift, though, will be their second dragon of the game. It puts them in a position where a soul win condition is a possibility. A Mountain Soul actually very strong for them generally as a team, gives them a lot more innate tankiness, but the problem with that is often we see teams get these first two Drakes, and as a caster you're like, well, it's a possible win condition. Maybe they can get the soul. But then you look on the other side, it's like, well, what did they give it up for these first two Drakes? They are 4,000 gold behind, a little bit more than that now. DFM have an incredibly big Wukong, an incredibly big Twisted Fate, an incredibly big Senna as well, who's just been stacking up. Even though she's only got 12 CS, she is really strong for this portion of the game. And it just is so hard for Ace to take any further fights unless they can find them before the Dragons fall.
It's true. Ace find themselves in a very difficult position right now. You can see all across the board. Only Lonely is in a position where he really feels he can control the side lane. But item-wise, Yaharong has a whole item ahead of his lane opponents. The Wukong, well, to be fair, Umbral Glaive is kind of really broken.
Yeah, it's really cheap as well.
The fact that you can just buy it at such a low value means that Dimitri already finds himself with two lethality items, so he's definitely in a good spot. So perhaps I oversold how dire it was for Ace. They are in the, I guess, not worst position. But the scaling elements of Utapon is really the thing that concerns me the most. How much access does Ace actually have onto the backline?
That's the thing,
How
right?
easily can they really kill Utapon? Because as long as he's free hitting and as long as the game goes on, he's only going to be doing more and more damage. While I appreciate this Gwen in a side lane is very lethal, I don't think DFM ever really have to go and match it. And they also, if they want to, they can send Evie there and then they can use the TF ult to create a numbers advantage and find a pick. Kind of, if you look right now, Steel is shadowing Yaharong, so that if any type of play tries to happen, he's able to turn around and punish it. So, yeah, I think Ace are very quickly losing control of this game. That's very representative in the goal difference. But DFM are quite happy to just continue to chill out, scale up, and try and end their MSI run on a win.
There are ways for Ace to approach a fight, but often you're looking for that possible Gwen flank or just the Gwen run straight through the enemy team with the Galio follow-up. Trying to get close to Utapon as a Graves is going to be very difficult with that slow on the Piercing Dark and with the range that she's built up. Currently at 70 stacks. Straight though with a hook onto Steel. He pops the decoy and walks away. And look at this, Dimitri trying to get in, but he's just going down. The Cyclone spins through him. Evie coming in as well with a TP straight there once again. Pops the stopwatch, but a good devour into the Abyssal Voyage follow-up. Hero's entrance Well, you're trying to be a hero alone, but often the hero loses in the end. Lonely caught out as well underneath the tower. DFM just ripping through AZE, Harp tanking tower after tower. 5-kid dives to the side, but DFM are ready and waiting for him.
And that is an ace at 18 minutes into the game. Just like that, DFM wipe AZE off the map. And in convincing fashion, nonetheless. A dominating team fight results in 2 towers, and AZE find themselves on the back end once more.
DFM just showing the caliber that they do have, although they have lost their options of getting into the Rumble stage. Dimitri steps forward here, looking for the Eclipse. Yutapon low ticking. The red smite will be enough. Dimitri takes it, looking for another. Steel dives back onto him, but Straight will take the kill in the end. Dimitri and Straight caught Yutapon and Steel napping.
Really good punish there from AZE at the very least. They will be able to get a few shutdowns into their back pocket. And Dimitri, the benefactor of a lot of that gold, but it's not going to change the overall game state right now. We can have a look back at this play. It starts off with a good stun card onto Dimitri. A lot of the damage disappears. You can see how squishy this Graves is and how lethal Twisted Fate can be if he's able to land that stun card. Lands it. Well, he's about to land another one. The stopwatch comes through. And at this point, AZE should have disengaged, but instead they try to kind of fix what is already a very lost fight. They don't cut their losses, and it ends up being a disaster. Yes, Evie does lose his life, but the damage is just so massive that DFM clean them up, secure themselves 5 kills, and walk away with so much more map control.
Yeah, just if you dare to approach DFM, they hold your arm's length. The rapid fire cannon on Yaharong helping with that. Yutapon's range advantage as well makes it so difficult for AZE to ever find an avenue into these fights. And as we said before that, Straight and Dimitri picked up those couple of kills. DFM have been in some close situations, just haven't quite been able to eke out that extra win that would have given them a tiebreak opportunity versus Saigon Buffalo. Of course, credit to Saigon Buffalo. Yeah, twice. But credit to Saigon Buffalo. That second game looked very much DFM favored in the mid game, and Saigon were able to fight back and find a way to pick up their win and make it to the Rumble stage. Now Lonely perhaps caught out. Steel trying to get in behind him here. The Cyclone will get the knockup, but Lonely underneath the tower should be safe for the moment. Evie though still on the chase. Fearby on dead. Not too safe after all, it seems, as DFM will pick up another kill.
A very clean dive from DFM. There's very little that AZE can do to stop them. Already an 8k gold deficit. And they're knocking on the doors of the base. Yaharong has a wave in mid lane. That's a cannon wave too. The Graves is not there with them. A massive numbers advantage. They could look to dive. They're not going to risk it for now.
Oh, it's the taunt coming out straight here. Looking for the depth charge as well. Good devour from Harp. Will keep Yaharong alive for the moment. Straight still healthy. Alone takes one. 5-kid diving forward. Yaharong dodges from the Mystic Shot into the stun card. Yaharong with the stopwatch, able to keep himself alive. And now Yutapon joins the fight. 2 to him, 1 to Ebby. AZE, you had a single card up your sleeve. You played it, but it was met by the gold card from Yaharong.
Very well played from DFM. The initial play looked good for AZE. The way in which they were able to land that 2-man taunt, the way that they could get a lot of damage down. Now they're going to be trying to sneak this Baron away. Yeah, this is good damage. The question is, will DFM read it? Definitely not something that they would expect right now. No pings have come down. They have 0 vision. When are they going to start getting suspicious? It looks like.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. AZE just trying to...
I don't know that.
Oh, you haven't heard? It's from Parks and Recreation. It's great. AZE just trying to like walk to their usual positions. It's a beautiful steal from Team AZE. TP in, Dimitri there as well. AZE get the Baron. The question is, what can they do with it?
So, again, this play initially quite good. You can see the root comes down onto the Twisted Fate. The taunt then comes through. It's a 3 versus 3, and Steel doesn't have his ultimate, so AZE are looking, well, fairly confident here, but then the overcommitment comes in onto Yaharong. Nice sidestep, gets the heal. Oh, that heal was massive as well, into the stopwatch. He's able to turn this fight around back into DFM's favor. So many souls on the ground for Yutapon to grab. And DFM, they lost the Baron, they secured the Drake, and the problem for DFM is this is going to stall the game out a little bit longer. With the empowered minions, AZE can just buy a little bit more time, give themselves another opportunity to fight back. Perhaps 5k can get more items under his belt. He realized he's in a 2v1 that he cannot win, but now they have information as to where the jungle and top laner are. No TP available on Lonely. question is, did DFM know that? They didn't see the TP. Perhaps they could have surmised it, but that information wasn't visibly available to them.
For the moment, though, DFM still very much in control of the game, as you say. Ace just trying to delay, to stall as much as possible. Yaharong having a very good game on this Twisted Fate. 4 items complete on him now. One of the players that came into DFM this year, replacing Aria, of course, who went over to the LCK. And one of the struggle points for them this year, the reason they weren't quite as dominant were these new players coming in. But this is a strong game from the new mid laner for the LJL representatives, and just a shame for him that it is at the end of their MSI run. Yep,
a bittersweet performance for sure. Also, big credit to Udapon. He's had a fantastic game on the center. A veteran in the space now.
Isn't he the player with the most games on an individual team? Up there with Faker, I think?
He's been with DFM for quite a while.
Yeah.
And for anyone that's followed the international scene for as long as we have, you'll definitely be familiar with his name. And Japan, they're going to be disappointed with this performance for sure, overall. But they did have some tough competition getting into the group with the Saigon Buffaloes. No easy feat. Here we are, both teams down contesting on the top side of the jungle. Grouping up from Ace. Steel.
I mean, Alone's in range here to Ultimate. As you say, good clone. Lonely though, still on the chase here. Cyclone coming out from Steel. Needlework going in, and Steel might fall. Lonely stunned up, but Lonely able to get the kill off to Steel. Straight locked up with a flash across the wall to escape. And the Destiny comes out. Ace able to get one and get out.
That is a pick that will once again buy more time for Ace. DFM can't continue to push. They can't really get anything off the back of that. And Ace, even though they find themselves at a massive goal deficit, continue to just stall things out, give themselves more opportunities to turn this game around.
Sometimes that's all you can do. They made about 1,500 gold off the Red Bull Baron power play. It's kind of what you get for taking it. And staying within that sort of range is very good when you're this far behind. You're just stemming the bleeding, putting a tourniquet on and hoping that later on you can find a way to a medical facility. It's a good catch as one of two. A great dodge away with the Warrior Trickster, but the chase from Gwen is just absurd when she is in a position just to land needlework after needlework.
Yep, that's Gwen. In the isolated 1v1, she has an insane amount of damage. The Ignite as well only further adds to that. And, okay.
He'd already popped the Destiny provision in the fight, so the short TP.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay. Well, now with the Dragon spawning in about 40 seconds, you imagine that would be the next point of contention. Ace primarily
he's got flash.
Side lanes.
Needlework going in. Heavy flash is away. Summon a burn. And as you say, like, I quite like it because Gwen and Graves are your two strongest players at the moment. I think 5kid will get there. He's got 2 items, but if you can catch out Ebby, knowing he doesn't have TP, maybe you can just find a couple of kills off towards the side lane. You're not going to lose soul point. Your DFM still only have 1 dragon, so...
I mean, I guess the argument is if you really want a chance of winning this game, your best play is to contest the dragon. But I suppose the counter argument is you're not going to win a fight, so why bother winning, trying to fight it? Instead, just leverage the fact that they're not getting a soul anytime soon, as you said, and just try and get some gold elsewhere on the map, which they do. They get that tier 2 tower, and there's a lot of standing gold available for them, so I don't really blame them for the decision. Unlikely that a collapse is going to come through. Yaharong just going to clear out all this vision. The Drake will fall, and the game will be stalled out a little bit more. 1 minute now. DFM likely not going to be caught by surprise of another dragon sneak, but have a look at this.
Wait, did you say surprise? Surprise!
I'm so scared.
So am I. Mostly because usually we have a thing we have to read out here, but the auto queue is in the wrong position. It's a Prime Gaming emote that you can get and you can use in your games when you make big outplays. 5kid here, maybe getting outplayed in the mid lane as well as Steel goes in with the Cyclone. 5kid able to escape for the moment. Steel with another Cyclone Dawning Shadow. Hero's Entrance not enough to keep him alive, and now Alone is exactly that. A double goes over to Steel. Surprise Ace as they get locked up in the mid lane and DFM find 2.
2 quick kills come through from DFM, and Ace are caught with their pants down. It was not a team fight that they were expecting, and that DFM have their eyes on the inhibitor.
Should be able to push this one in. A bit of voyage forward by Harp. DFM 5 members strong. Not the best wave play on the side of Ace either. If DFM wanted to continue pushing, instead they decide against it. They'll back away, Baron up in 3 seconds time.
Yeah, they don't want to overstay their welcome. They know that Alone doesn't have TP and he doesn't have his ultimate, so they can set up for this one. No vision on the top side as well. Means that, yeah, Yutapon can just do this, be obnoxious as possible. Are they going to start this one off? Yes, they are. Here we go. Ace. They have 3 members near the pit. The ultimate comes through from 5kid. Can Dimitri steal this?
Yutapon sitting at 118 stacks. He has range for days. Collateral damage going in. Baron not yet reset. Now will. DFM are forced to retreat. Destiny away. That's miles away from Yaharong, and then he bases in the base. I think there's a thing where if you're within your base walls, it's actually quicker to walk back, assuming you have level 2 boots most of the time. But for the moment, now he's going to TP back in. Ace looking for a fight underneath this mid lane tower. Alone looking for the flank position. No, Everfrost just wide. Straight with a good hook, but it's only onto Harp. Cycling going in by Steel. The root onto 3. Alone takes out a Harp. Stopwatch from him as well, and now 5kid can really open up the big guns. Yaharong down. Ace looking for the first win of MSI. Dimitri will fall to the tower, though another goes down as Yutapon trying to put the damage back with that cannon of a gun, but 5kid shuts him down. Slaps him off the rift, and 5kid turn back to the Baron.
And DFM, they go for a fight that they don't need to force. Remember that they'd invested a lot earlier on, but they end up just misplaying the fight. And Ace, they find themselves 4 kills, and they'll get themselves another Baron.
Huge team fight in the mid lane there by Ace. DFM, as you say, just tried a little bit too hard to defend that mid lane tier 1. Ace still in the hole even after this Baron, but what a fight this was from them.
So Evie commits his ultimate very early on. They're not able to get the execute onto straight. Harp gets absolutely melted, which then opens up Yaharong to the front line, and he ends up falling. Steel and Evie don't have the HP to disengage, and then it's just up to Yutapon. He starts to feel it. He thinks he has the damage, but then 5kid, knowing that he's full HP, lands the full combo onto him and is able to take out half his HP, resulting in a kill. This means that another Baron goes over to Ace. More time will be spent, and DFM continuing to showcase that these mid-game issues that have plagued them throughout the tournament are continuing to be a struggle for them in their final game. Ace can just continue to buy time. This Ezreal now gets stronger and stronger as the game goes on. Graves at 4 completed items.
5kid has a QSS now as well, alongside his 3 items. Yutapon, of course, will continue to grow in strength throughout the game. You can see he's got the Edge of Night now on that Senna. Over 120 stacks. He's going to be very strong if he has time, but even with the gold card hitting onto straight, Ace able to take that mid lane tower. Dragon up in a minute's time. Would only be the 3rd of the game for either of these teams, but strong showing here from Ace. Finding back, looking for positions, looking for flanks. No flash on Yutapon, no flash on Harp, no flash on Steel either. Flashes almost up across the board. Dimitri and Alone have theirs. 5kid is about to come off cooldown. He's going towards the Anathema's chains there on the Nautilus. For a bit of extra CC, lots of people forget about the tenacity reduction that Anathema's chains gives you on the target that you pick with it. And that extra CC could be the difference between a team fight win and a loss.
They're backing?
I think they're resetting. You can see Yaharong trying to answer this push off towards the top side, so he's pushing out top, whereas he knows Lonely is pushing out bot. Yaharong doesn't have TP though, only has the Destiny right now, and 5kid and the rest of Ace will be able to push through this mid lane. Tower should fall pretty lickety split. If 5kid gets a couple of attacks on it, it's going to be 2 towers in exchange for none, it seems, here for Ace. DFM, a little bit odd with their map movements.
Yeah, that's why the base confused me, because they literally just left themselves wide open to an attack in mid lane. There was no contest over the priority, which then gave Ace free avenue for that tier 2. Yeah. Meanwhile, Lonely was pushing in bot, and of course that is answered on the top side. I think that was fine. Yaharong trading tier 2 on bot. Yeah, I'm surprised. I don't think they needed to give up that mid tower. Either way, Ace now closed that gold gap pretty dramatically. Only 3k gold is the difference. Ace now find themselves on Soul Point. And yeah, with this Baron about to wear off, DFM find themselves in a very sticky situation. If they want to be able to close this one out, they're going to need to find another good fight. We're at 129 stacks for Yutapon. 3 items done for him. He's going to be dealing good damage, but we're seeing these fights are not as straightforward as they were earlier for DFM.
Yeah, 5kid's been playing the Ezreal really well in fights as well, positioning himself towards the back, avoiding Steel's initial engage, and then getting the damage down when AZE are able to re-engage. after that Cyclone has been used. Looks like he might be going, he's going Lethality. I'm wondering if it's a Duskblade Mythic here for 5kid. I don't see it too often, but it is a possibility. For the moment though, just sitting on that serrated Dirk. DFM have got control over the bottom side of the map. You can see them pushing in the mid lane and the bottom lane. Lonely shoving out top. He's really strong as well. Rabadon's, I think, on this base. That's probably what AZE are waiting for.
Okay, so I'll use this brief window to explain some like map stuff, because
yeah, do it, man.
The problem with DFM is that they're using their windows very poorly. So basically, we saw Lonely top, right? So because Lonely had to push the wave out, whereas DFM had 2 pushing waves in both mid and bot, there was a very clear window there where DFM had a numbers advantage. So what they could have done is not necessarily force something, but create pressure either on the mid inhib or the bot tower to force Lonely to either TP or come back. So by creating that pressure on these 2 lanes, you force Lonely to stop pushing that wave, and then they have to come and answer these pushed waves that are creating this pressure. That then, when they respond, is your window to then disengage, go and catch the waves back. You can then reset, and then while you're resetting, AZE has to use their time to reclaim and push these waves back out, which then when you reset gives you more time on the map because they now want to reset, but now they realize that they're being pressured again, and so that's kind of how you use your pressure, right? Because DFM are in a position where they can create multiple points of pressure all across the map. But all they did there was that when Lonely started pushing top, Yaharong just stopped. I was like, oh, I need to go catch this top wave. And now you're in a 4v4 where they just kind of look at each other awkwardly. And yeah, that was just an example of like...
Destiny, they're looking for 5kid here. Hero's Entrance, he flashes away. Yaharong going in with the Destiny, but still able to escape for the moment. Lonely now on the chase. Hook hits as well onto Harp, and 5kid can really open up in this fight. Udapon with the Dawning Shadow, but the shield is just not enough. 5kid on the chase. Steel, the Maul will keep you alive for a moment, but will it be for long enough? 5kid dives forward once again. Another Mystic Shot finds its mark, and AZE are hungry for their first win of MSI.
Such a strange fight that was forced by DFM there. The Baron spawns in 15 seconds, and they thought that they could just go for a front-to-back 5v5 without Evie there as well. AZE are more than happy to take that fight. They wipe them off the map. They have a wave. They now know that they have an even bigger numbers advantage, but they're not going to try and end the game. Instead, they're pinging the Baron, and with no jungler on the side of DFM, this will be the 3rd Baron of the game going towards AZE.
First one, very sneaky, held them in the game for longer than perhaps they should have been. Second one, a teamfight win into the Baron. The 3rd, the same. And now that gold will go down to basically a non-existent gap between these 2 teams. Baron secured for AZE.
I will say, like, the first Baron, really good from AZE. The second one came off the back of a very good team fight from them. But look at this fight right now. So they force flash engage onto the Ezreal, who can respond. Like, how do you follow this Wukong here? You know, like, the Twisted Fate ultimate comes through, he's lost half his HP, but then they get 5 much faster, and then Lonely's on the front line when Steel doesn't have anything. So much damage also gets thrown onto Yudo. Wow, I did not realize that he basically lost all of his HP from the Gwen there. Lonely doing a fantastic job.
Steel. They know that 5kid doesn't have flash. Yaharong going in with the Destiny as well. 5kid on the backline, rooted up, but he's putting so much damage down onto Yaharong, who has to pop the stopwatch. AZE win the fight on the other side. It doesn't even matter if you kill 5kid anymore. He's unstoppable. AZE may be the same. Alone dives in. Stopwatch just in time to keep him alive for the moment, but Harp will take him out. 2v2 now. Okay. Supports against an AD cat. Whoa. Support against support. Oh, it's 3v2.
They're just going to end.
Lonely and Dimitri are pushing it. I didn't see Lonely there as well. They can just end it. AZE will not be defeated 6 times in a row. They claim their first win of MSI.
A much-deserved one for AZE. They played the mid-game extremely well. They were able to find some very good fights later on into the game. Huge props to Lonely. He did a really good job on the Gwen. Made it very difficult for DFM to find any successful fights. And yeah, just like... It's going to be a disappointment for DFM to end like that. They had such good control over the early game, and it feels like that this has been the story of the team throughout this tournament, where we've seen very promising early games, but the mid-game comes around and they end up just falling short. Something for them to go back, work on, and perhaps we will see them once again at the World Championship this year.
Yeah, just a few months away. Perhaps we'll see Team AZE there as well. great for the LLA that they were able to pick up a win here, especially with the resilience, the determination to come back in this game, because early on it definitely looked like DFM, 7,000, 8,000 gold lead at times, and should have been able to pick this one up. Great stuff all round by